Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in Benue today following the recurring communal crisis in the state. The visit is with a view to foster peace and address the persistent conflict affecting communities. During the visit, the president engaged with traditional rulers, political leaders, and community representatives, hoping to find solution to the recurring hostilities. The president assessed the security and humanitarian situation that claimed numerous lives and caused significant destruction. How impactful is the president's visit, and what can be done to holistically bring an end to the lingering crisis? This and more will form the basis of our discussion on the program Nigeria Today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Victoria Clinton. With me in the studio for this conversation is Dr. Sadiq Hassan, a strategic security expert. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I know I've asked you this question before on this program, but then again, how would you describe the entire situation, in Benue State, talking about the security issues?
Thank you. The situation is worrisome and it's heartbreaking, because if you go through the video clips, you'll see how child, infants are being massacred. And these are supposed to be the great child for tomorrow, the future of Nigeria. So the situations currently, it is really worrisome, and we just have to do something, because it is time not to play politics with security. So the situations is their need of help, and those who are involved in this, it is time the government and the people of Nigeria to show the might that is doable. It's not out of reach that with the armed forces, intellectual, the security agency with all the capacity, capability, and offensive capability, it is time for us to do something. That is why I said it is time for us to do away with politics playing over security situations in Nigeria, because it's worrisome. We should understand that basically what is going on in the eye of international community, nobody would like to invest so much in the country. The fear of coming alone is a big problem. So this is why that the loss is higher than what those people think they will gain, allowing insecurity to persistence in such area. So the government and the people, we have to do something within the armed forces. We just have to. It's heartbreaking.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. We are now being joined by Wing Commander Salmanu Musa, retired. He's a security consultant. Well, before we bring him, you're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So I would also want to get your own perspective, in view of the recent update in the Benue State, crisis, the insecurity situation. How do you perceive the whole situation?
Well, it's a situation that have been allowed to persist for so long, and with cycle of violence, attacks and retaliations and counterattacks and so on both sides. And it's a situation that is being perpetuated by certain, key players, whether within the communities or within that's locally, but also with other factors that, that cannot be treated in isolation from the other also insecurities around. Whether it's in the wider North Central or other parts of the country, the major thing is that this has been allowed to persist for so long that it's now having layers upon layers and making it therefore very cumbersome or even very difficult to unravel those layers and to get to the root of the matter. Now, because it's complex does not mean that it's impossible to do that. And I know you're going to get to that, but the fact is that more than most of this crisis, that because of the nature of the environment, you know, and the factors that are there, it's communal, it's ethnic, it's religious, you know, all those factors combined makes it even more difficult to solve. Of course, like I said, not impossible, but it needs a lot of political goodwill. It needs a lot of, I mean, goodwill on all sides, on all parties that are involved in the conflict.
Now, having said that, before I come back to Dr. Hassan, the president's visit, how significant is it, you know, in this in the face of this present issue?
Well, the president is the father of the nation. It's like when something happens, whatever it is, there is that need for sympathy. There's that need to show concern. There's that need to show presence, and there's the need to show that you're there as the father. So I guess that visit has to be looked at in that aspect first. But of course, the president over the years or over the days have been given directives, first to his security chiefs and intelligence chiefs, to even he made calls to even the political leadership and to the communities themselves, that this is what he thinks about this. You know, this is how he feels that this could be solved. So it's a combination of all these processes, with the president being there himself to say, okay, this is a serious issue. It needs my presence. I'm here, and I'm giving it all the attention that it needs. So strategy, it's a very good initiative. I mean, it's late, but then it's better late. In fact, it just happened. But if you look at but it's him making that statement that this is a very important issue, and we're here, and we want to evolve the political will to solve it.
Okay, now, Dr. Hassan, just like the wing Salman Musa rightly mentioned, he said the president, of course, have been given a lot of directive concerning this issue. You know, there's been efforts to, you know, nip this problem in the bud. But him going down to the state, to Benue State, to address people, you know, to have a town hall meeting with political leaders and all of that, how does he speak to this situation?
Yeah, as he said, it's good for a president of a country to visit, to show the sympathy, because he's the father of the nations, to show concern. But I've said it before, that will not stop it. It's like making a political statement without actions. Why do I say so? In this program, I've said it, that the reason why such conflict will not stop, the people who are at the front line has not come with a strategy. How do we solve it? A to B, what needs to be done, vis-a-vis our offensive capability and defensive capability. I don't see it as a complex situation, because other countries faces it. Ghana, Mali, they've had this issue. They solve it. The president can give a directive with the political will, but he needed a sledgehammer to hit the target. Until that it is done, there will be no solutions. It will continue. It is good for him to be there. His presence, his actions with the service chief, we can only subsidize for a while, but the problem has not been solved. The problem is that, where is the strategy? What are the root cause? What are the history, experience, and the reality of the situations? This has to put on the table. You can now set strategy 1, 2, 3. What the president only do is to give a political will that, okay, you have 5 strategies, for example, what is the cost? For the first strategy, second strategy, then it will go. If you remember, IG was there, the current IG. We've said it over time, that it is time for the state to have state police. The current IG said no, simply because he looked at it that the political structure of the state, the governors might use it to victimize oppositions. But in security, it is not enough. The people today who are the hit, the vulnerability, are people who don't even take part in politics. These are people who, during the elections, they only go there and they vote, they went back. the aspect of good governance, they don't even have it. So they are going to be the people that will suffer it if you don't have state police.
Thank you.
State police is just one aspect of solutions. That is why I said we have not come up clearly with the strategy.
Thank you very much.
1, 2, 3, how to solve it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. Now, talk to us, Salmanu. These some issues. I want to get your perspective on the way forward, because he's mentioned, you know, there's no strategy. Do you agree with that?
Well, it's so difficult to say there's no strategy. Now, it's another thing to say, has the strategy worked the way we want it to work? Have there been those attempts that were made in the past? Have we studied them to see, okay, why does it still linger on, and so on? And for me, we are quick to militarize security solutions. And that's why we keep having cycle upon cycle of violence, because violence begets violence, and so on. There needs to get a time where we say, hold on, stop. An eye for an eye, you know, makes the entire village blind. So there needs to be a time that and this is where dialogue comes in. Because I know, and a lot of people have been saying, okay, who are you going to dialogue with, and the rest? You see, the thing with communal conflict is that if you look at the intensity, it's because it's people that know each other that fight. And it's not something that happens just overnight. It's something that is there because of one issue swept under the carpet, because there's no kind of truth or some kind of conciliation effort to bring people to the table to say, okay, what are the grievances, and so on and so forth. So if you don't address those issues, if you bring 1,000 or 1,000,000 even security, not that I'm saying that they are not important, they are important, but it takes the people to believe that we want to live in peace first. If we say we want to live in peace, then we can now begin to deconstruct that dehumanized language that we have. Because it evolves out of language of hate. Over the years, people telling that this is the guy that, you know, that history of regurgitating hate and so on and so forth, that goes on from generation to generation, and therefore you find out that it's so difficult. So if you bring the security agencies and put them in between, the moment they draw out of there, the fight is going to resume. So the only way you can do that is, like he said, yes, it's true, get to the root of this and say, okay, but very important also, bring in the people, let them agree amongst themselves that there's going to be some kind of, they have accepted peace. And sometimes when such great atrocities happen, there is the tendency to say, okay, let's sweep, let's do some kind of forgiveness. And no, there are the major perpetrators of this. They must be made to face some form of justice. There must be some kind of closure for those that have suffered losses and so on and so forth. So if you bring that, and so that's either through the judicial system or through a kind of mechanism that ensure that people feel that the wrong that has been done to them, there's some kind of restitution or some kind of, the wounds have been healed. Then from there, so what I'm trying to say is that it involves a lot of peace building, reconciliation, and so on. A little bit of, maybe why you need the kinetic or the military and so on, is to bring the people to that table and to ensure that it does not escalate worse than it is at the moment. But ultimately, is the political will, is the ability for people to sit and say, these are the grievances, for them to talk it out and to agree that they are going to live in peace. When they do that, even if there are external forces, they are able to come together to repel that.
Which is what the president, of course, has, let's say, initiated right now. Now, we'll take a short break now. The conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
Implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow, under digital economy, for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around all crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we're looking at ending the hostilities in Benue State. And of course, I have two security experts here in the studio with me. Now, Dr. Hassan, of course, you've had the view of Wing Commander Salman Musa on the issue. But however, some believe that there is some kind of political undertone. You talked about strategy. Is dialogue one of the strategies you're talking about?
Yes.
And this hostility.
Dialogue is one of the strategy. In fact, I would tell you categorically that currently there are political tussle within the political elite of the Benue State. Today is there within the same party. So now, that is why we always say that there's what is called security implications. When the leadership of the state are in tussle, the enemy of the state, who are non-state actors, take advantage and cause mayhem to show that the government is not doing anything to bring the government down. That is why we always said, don't have political tensions in the state. That is the one aspect that the political leadership of Benue State must come to the table and solve it once and for all. So that from that point, we'll be able to know that dialogue has taken place at the upper level. Then before we now come down to the lower level. So Benue State is one party system. It's a PC. So, but there are people within the party that are having rancor. But that does not indicate that the security agency should not be readily available. That, okay, despite that, let us see how do we do it. The essence of state police is to help to galvanize security intelligence watch down to the grassroots. When you create a state police today, Benue State has about 23 there, about over 20 local government. The state police will be deploying their services across this local government. Intelligence and each local government, how many wards do you have? The federal police cannot do it. This is the need for state police, gathering informations. Then if the crisis erupts, the federal police will now come and support. And the basic prerequisite for security is intelligence. And capacity for intelligence today is low. That is why you said things will happen. We'll never be able to get pre-information. Why does it have consistency? Have anybody hold that, oh, this is one person, you have caught them with arms, who possible 2 a.m., 12 a.m., they are ready to move to go and attack, and they were nipped on the bud. We've never had that. Because of the failure of intelligence, or because of lack of the capacity of intelligence is not enough. Because, as I said, you cannot, even if you deploy, how many police do we have in Benue State? All the police we have in Benue State are federal police. Can you take 50% of Nigerian police and move it to Benue? Then there will be crisis in other places. That is why state police is one aspect of solving problems. Then from there, we'll be able to say, okay, if we have the state police, security vote that the state government is having today, how did they spend it? Then the state police will be able to be within the nook and cranny. Why the federal police is still existing. It does not take the power of federal police. But the essence of state police, let me give you a typical example. Take Agatu, for example, and you have a state police. The state police are made up of people who are from Agatu, who are the one now have been trained, intelligence gathering, and some use of arms, and said secure your community. Are they the one now who allow external to come and cause mayhem on their people? Why they are the one to secure their people? Because it's a state police.
Thank you very much, Dr.
So
Hassan.
these are one step
of
how do we solve it.
I'll have to stop you here so that Wing Commander Musa will speak here. So I know you want to say something on this issue.
Well, he's said a lot of things, but so let me try to unpack some of them based on how I understand. The issue is the state police, and you know we have this tendency here in Nigeria that when something comes, there's this buzzword, and everybody keeps repeating it. as if it's a one bus stop, that's the silver bullet.
One-stop shop.
Yes, that's going to solve also
the problem.
And of late, in the securities environment or the space, is this issue of state police. Everybody, as if it's the magic wand. No, it's not. The security police, personally, that I feel, first of all, in reality, we have arrangements at the state levels that are akin to the security, to the state police, if you call them that. A lot of states have one arrangement or the other. And from Kaduna State, we have CADBIS, for example. We have the civilian JTF that are community-based security organizations or community-based, arrangements that are trying to ensure this. Now, what we tend to do is that when you see that, when you say states, we have to look at the matters more than that. Now, when you employ or when you recruit police, there's the issue of training, there's the issue of quartering, there's the issue of kitting, there's the issue of salaries and so on and so forth, and even their own welfare. Now, if you look at the federal and see the state of policing and the state of whatever, then you're beginning to think that, do we really want to cascade these other problems downwards? If at federal level we can see the equipment holding, we can see the logistic support that the federal police has, if we take that down to some states, while some states may be able to do that, some states, I tell you, will not be able to fund the state police.
Okay, having said that, Commander Busa, let's talk, let's finish the Benue issue now that we are talking about. Now, the president's visit, the president visit, what are our expectations from this visit?
So the expectations is that at the leadership, political leadership, there must be a political will, there must be a political conversation, like you said, a political dialogue among I don't like calling elites because it's also another issue. The Nigerian elite, sometimes we need to really examine if the elite really plays that role of the elite. But that's an issue for another day. So the political elite or the top political hierarchy have to have this conversation amongst themselves, especially in Benue. And also then, as it happens there, then cascade it down to all levels. That's the community leadership, then that's at the local governments, and even at communities, and even groups, youth, all this. So there must be an inclusive, an inclusive strategy that ensures that everybody participates, that everybody is able to air their grievances, that there is some kind of a kind of healing from both parties or from all parties that are involved. And when you have that, you have a consensus, then you are able to marshal out that this is what is done. When you do that, then it's easier for even the security agencies to support. It's easier for them to be able to go in between because there are agreements that have already been made, and therefore it will just be about the enforcement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Hassan.
Yes.
15 seconds.
Okay.
15 seconds. Tell us your expectations from this visit.
Well, my expectations from the president, as I've said, is for the president to tell the securities apparatus and the political bigwig of the state, enough is enough. And making sure he get the strategy, 1, 2, 3, and this will stop.
Thank you.
And now hand over to the service chief who have to implement it. When they fail first one, he knows what to do in step 2.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sadiq Hassan, a strategic security expert. Thank you so much for that. And of course, the Wing Commander Salman Musa, retired but not tired, security consultant. Thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your thought with us. And thank you for being part of the program. I'm your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.